Cameras cut in, the bass line hums low, and the internet is buzzing with one claim: a $120 million promise that never became paperwork. Whispers say Lil Meech isn't just angry, he's done playing nice. Fans are shocked, threads are exploding, and the streets swear the smoke started long before anyone noticed the fire. "You used my father's name for shine," a voice in the clip alleges, tight with heat, while another voice, cool, unbothered, laughs it off. "Business is business, little bro." Emotions ran high. The family was left divided. Some say this was a setup from
I feel bad for Lil Meech. I don't feel bad for no grown man in this planet. Like, I'm a grown man. Why the f I gotta feel bad for another grown man? Like, you a grown man too. What you asking for my sympathy for?
From day one, a glittering pitch with no bricks behind it. A headline built to sting 50 and crown another king. "Send the address, I'll show love," someone jokes in a screen recording, and suddenly the room goes quiet. Too quiet. Out of frame. A phone lights up. "Don't let them trick you off the path," a mentor type warns. But pride is louder than caution tonight. A door slams, a glass tings, and a chorus of voices piles on. Friends, insiders, yes men, each with a version that tilts the table. "You saw the signs, bro," someone says. "No, I saw loyalty," comes back, raw, trembling. And just when it feels like this storm can't get heavier, a new clip drops, unverified, messy, and louder than the last. Now the question isn't who's right, it's who's willing to go all the way. The night the news broke, the city felt colder. Phones lit up across Atlanta.
Guy, I don't think there's a bad guy.
No, yes it is. That Vlad, let's talk about it.
I think Meech is the one that made a mistake.
No,
No? You think 50?
no,
Lil Meech.
no.
Who am I forgetting now?
Rick Ross knew perfectly damn well what he was doing and what that would lead to. And if he was a real friend,
Detroit and Miami, as people whispered the same name again and again: Rick Ross. Fans were stunned, scrolling through endless posts claiming the boss himself had promised Big Meech a grand empire, a movie deal worth $120 million, and the redemption of a legacy. But those promises, according to the streets, never made it past words. And now, Lil Meech, the son who had carried his father's name through fame and fire, was allegedly furious. Sources claimed that behind closed doors, voices had been raised, calls had been ignored, and text messages had turned from brotherly to bitter. One insider even said, "It wasn't business anymore, it got personal." When Big Meech was released, people expected a story of rebirth, a man rebuilding what he lost, turning his legacy into gold. The energy was electric, and Ross arrived right on cue, smiling, shaking hands, and talking about big money projects. He made grand gestures, name-dropping directors and producers, painting a future that sounded too cinematic to be real. Everyone wanted to believe it. And why wouldn't they? Ross had the look, the cars, the stage presence, and the talk to match.
I wasn't going to address this because I'm not trying to let nobody trick me off the streets. But I never folded, never told, never will. Death before dishonor, always with me. So I'm doing this for my loved ones and the support.
Match. But some who knew the game said it all felt rehearsed, like a performance meant for cameras, not contracts. Still, Lil Meech stood by his side, trusting the process, believing that loyalty and legacy would finally pay off. That loyalty started to show cracks when deadlines disappeared and meetings kept getting postponed. Months passed, and the $100 million promise remained a promise. Big Meech's people began asking questions, but every time they tried to reach Ross's camp, the response was silence or another excuse. One associate described it bluntly: Ross played him with smoke and mirrors, kept them busy with dreams while he collected attention. Fans started piecing it together online, posting side-by-side clips of Ross talking about big projects, and then shifting topics whenever details came up. Some laughed it off as typical industry talk, while others called it manipulation. Interview 337, 355 around that same time. 50 Cent, who had long supported Lil Meech's acting journey, began posting cryptic messages. Nothing direct at first, but the undertones were sharp. He hinted that certain people were using the Meech name for clout, reminding everyone who had really put in the work to build the BMF series. People began connecting dots. 50 had paid for Lil Meech's acting lessons, backed him publicly, and given him a platform that changed his life. So when rumors spread that Lil Meech had started distancing himself from
Meech on February 13th. Get your tickets right now. It's going down. We know Florida gonna be there. Miami gonna be there. The legend himself gonna be in the building, making history. Meech, who else coming?
The whole nation, Detroit, St. Louis, California, everybody. Atlanta, Georgia, ATL, stand up.
Woo. We gonna make history. Get your
from 50 and leaning closer to Ross, the internet exploded. "Wrong move," one fan tweeted. "You don't bite the hand that built your name back up." Behind the scenes, though, things were reportedly messier. One late-night audio clip, circulating quietly among fan pages, allegedly captured a heated exchange. The voice resembling Lil Meech's snapped, "I stood up for you, bro. You said you had my pops straight." The reply, calm and slightly laughing, said, "Relax, we building. These things take time." But time ran out. When Ross launched his next event, Big Meech's name was nowhere to be found. The entire focus had shifted to Ross's next music venture, and Lil Meech was left out in the cold. Friends close to the family
insiders
do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
family described the disappointment as more than financial. It was emotional. Big Meech had always been careful about trust. From behind bars, he had supported his son's efforts to go legit, to use the BMF brand for storytelling rather than the streets. To hear that his name might have been used for attention rather than progress reportedly cut deep. One insider claimed that Big Meech had told his son, "If you ever stand next to someone who forgets your value, step away before they sell your name too." Fans began noticing changes in Lil Meech's tone online. His posts grew darker, shorter, more defensive. What used to be celebratory captions now read like coded frustrations. A few interviews later, when he was asked about his ties to certain figures, he brushed off the question but couldn't hide the irritation in his voice. "People talk," he said with a tight smile. "Let them." That moment went viral. The comment section filled with theories.
50, who own your masters? Who own your masters? I buy your masters. You better shut up. I will buy your master.
You know, but when you take Lil Meech and you put him in acting school, you know, you take him from Detroit. I remember him rapping when he was rapping and nobody was helping him from what I seen. Cause I remember
Some sympathetic, others mocking. Everyone seemed to have an opinion about where the money went and who was to blame. Interview 535-55. Around the same period, a separate storm started brewing. Whispers spread that Ross had quietly stepped away from communications with the Meech family. Texts weren't returned. Calls went unanswered. What was once a public brotherhood suddenly turned into radio silence. That's when a few bold voices in the hip-hop community began calling out what they described as Ross's habit of using other men's legacies to elevate his brand. They pointed to how his own stage name came from another man's life story, the real Rick Ross, a connection that had caused controversy years before. But this time, the stakes felt heavier. This wasn't just about an artist borrowing an identity. It was about a father and son trying to rebuild after decades of loss, only to feel betrayed by someone they thought was family. The rumor mill churned harder when WAC 100 appeared in a podcast clip saying, "Ross was never really for Meech. He was for Ross. He's been doing this forever. Same game, different name." The clip spread
the price. Is there anything about Ross and his career that you have any respect for? Oh, no, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. I never wanted to work with.
Fast, with fans quoting it across social media, reigniting debates that had just started to cool. Still, Lil Meech stayed mostly silent. That silence was louder than any statement. Every appearance he made felt colder, more distant. Interviews that once carried pride in the BMF name now felt tense, as if every question about Ross or 50 was a trigger waiting to be pulled. Then, during one club appearance, witnesses claimed things nearly turned physical. No cameras caught it clearly, but several accounts described heated words exchanged between entourages, security stepping in, and Lil Meech walking out early. His expression unreadable. That single night reignited the entire controversy, and fans...
Guy, I don't think there's a bad guy.
No, yes it is. That Vlad, let's talk about it.
I think Meech is the one that made a mistake.
No.
No? You think 50?
No.
Lil Meech.
No.
Who am I forgetting now?
Rick Ross knew perfectly damn well what he was doing and what that would lead to. And if he was a real friend to Meech, unless he was looking to get 50 out the way, he would have dealt with Meech in the shadows, because he knows me and this dude who is gonna react if he sees me dealing with this dude that he has business with. And there was a lot of business left to be done, right? Rick Ross, bro, could have done whatever he was gonna do in the shadows if he really honored and respected Meech. Trust me, Meech wished none of this was going.
Flooded comment sections with questions. Soon after, the talk turned darker. Anonymous sources claimed there had been a confrontation over money, specifically over promises made during the supposed $120 million deal that never materialized. No contracts, no paperwork, just talk. One source close to the situation said bluntly, Meech felt played. His father's legacy was used for clicks. Others argued that the industry was twisting facts, saying Ross had good intentions but poor timing. Either way, the narrative had taken a life of its own. Interview 6/45/7/16 then came the moment that shifted everything. A leaked message, allegedly from Lil Meech's circle, hinted that he was ready to go public, to set the record straight. Though the authenticity of that message was never verified, it spread like wildfire. Suddenly, every hip-hop podcast, YouTube channel, and gossip page had a theory. Some claimed Ross owed Big Meech's family millions. Others said it was never about money at all. It was about respect. But one thing was clear. The calm had ended. What began as whispers had turned into a storm that no one could ignore. And in the middle of that storm stood Lil Meech, no longer the quiet son of a legend, but a man caught between loyalty and revenge, pride and betrayal, legacy and survival. Fans kept refreshing their feeds, waiting for someone, anyone, to say something real. And when a new live video started circulating, showing Lil Meech speaking directly into the camera, it was clear that the silence was finally broken. The live started like any other. No flashy lighting, no music, just Lil Meech sitting in a dim room, his eyes heavy and his tone sharp. "I don't do this internet stuff," he began, voice low but trembling with control. "But sometimes you gotta clear the air." Within minutes, tens of thousands tuned in, the comments flying faster than the stream could keep up. He didn't name names directly, but everyone knew who he was talking about. "If you promise something, stand on it. Don't use my father's name if you ain't ready to carry that weight." The chat exploded. Some fans typed hearts and fire emojis. Others begged him to drop receipts. A few said what everyone was thinking. Ross better respond fast. Interview 8/16/8/41 he spoke. His tone shifted between calm explanation and boiling frustration. He talked about certain people who had been around for the cameras but gone when the lights turned off. "People love to talk loyalty," he said, shaking his head, "but they love money more." There was a long pause before he added quietly, "And I learned that the hard way." Viewers started recording clips instantly, reposting snippets across platforms before the live even ended. The hashtags flooded timelines. Meech speaks, Yet Ross deal. Yao BMF drama. Within hours, it was trending everywhere. Behind the scenes, those close to the situation claimed Ross wasn't surprised. He had already been told that Lil Meech was planning to speak. According to one unnamed source, Ross brushed it off with a simple line. He'll calm down. They always do. But this time, it didn't look like anyone was calming down. Soon after the live ended, 50 Cent jumped into the mix. He posted a short, mocking caption with a still image of wings and the words, "Delivery failed." The internet lost it. Comments flooded with laughing emojis and quotes from 50's caption, while others wondered if he was stirring the pot or just telling the truth in his own way. Fans began taking sides. Some defended Lil Meech, saying he was standing up for his father's name, while others accused him of falling for industry traps. "This is chess, not checkers," one fan wrote, echoing 50's favorite line. "Ross been playing the game longer. He don't lose money. He makes stories." Podcasts started dissecting every sentence of Meech's live, analyzing his tone, his body language, his choice of words. One host noted, "You can hear the pain behind that calm. That wasn't a publicity stunt. That was betrayal talking." Another countered, "But betrayal from who? Ross or the system? Maybe both." Meanwhile, old footage of Ross praising Big Meech resurfaced. Clips from interviews where he called him a legend who inspired me. Fans replayed those moments, comparing them to the new narrative. The contrast was haunting. One comment read, "That's the thing about admiration. It can turn into imitation real quick." For every fan defending Ross, there were 3 calling him out. "He's been living off other men's legacies since day one," another wrote. "Rick Ross ain't the boss, he's the borrower." As the debate raged, a new layer unfolded. An audio message leaked from what sounded like a heated phone call. It began with a voice, sharp and full of anger, saying, "You took what was ours." The response, calm but cold, was, "You can't own an idea, bro. The culture's for everyone." No one could verify the clip, but that didn't stop it from spreading like wildfire. Blogs posted it with disclaimers, influencers reacted to it live, and fans debated whether it was real or staged. Every corner of the internet had an opinion. Interview 9/58/10/11 in. The days that followed, Lil Meech went quiet again. No posts, no interviews, no comments. That silence made things worse. The less he said, the more people speculated. Insiders claimed he was regrouping, getting advice from his father's old associates. One supposed friend of the family told a reporter, "Big Meech told him not to move off emotion. But it's hard when the whole world's watching you get played." Those words hit deep with fans who grew up idolizing BMF as a symbol of power and loyalty. To see that image now tied to betrayal felt almost sacrilegious to them. Then came an unexpected twist. Tony Yayo stepped into the story. In an interview, he defended 50's role, saying, "Fif been taking care of that boy like a son. He ain't need Ross for nothing." That line alone reignited the feud. Suddenly, the discussion wasn't just about a failed deal. It was about who truly carried the BMF legacy. 50's camp started dropping subtle jabs, memes, and old behind-the-scenes photos from the early days of the show. Every post felt like a reminder. We built this. Ross, on the other hand, seemed unbothered. He continued posting lavish lifestyle clips, jet rides, car collections, pool parties, almost as if to prove he was still winning. But fans noticed the captions were shorter, less direct, like he was saying something without saying it. One post showed him holding a cigar with the caption, "Some folks forget who lit their first flame." The comments exploded instantly, tagging Lil Meech and 50's accounts. One top comment read, "That's not just smoke, that's shade." Within industry circles, producers and promoters started to distance themselves from the conflict, fearing backlash. One Hollywood insider claimed a few of the supposed deals tied to that $120 million figure were never more than verbal pitches. "There was never a contract," the source said. "Just hype, and hype sells." That statement fueled another wave of outrage. Fans felt deceived. not just by Ross, but by the entire illusion. "It's all business," someone commented. The mistake was believing friendship existed in it. A week later, rumors surfaced that a sit-down was being arranged, not by lawyers but by mutual connections in the industry. Apparently, several old friends of Big Meech wanted to mediate, to stop the story before it became irreversible. Reports said that while Lil Meech agreed to listen, Ross didn't show. Instead, he sent word through a mutual acquaintance. "I ain't apologizing for what the internet thinks." That one sentence spread everywhere, screenshot after screenshot, each caption angrier than the last. "No accountability," fans wrote. "No loyalty," fans wrote. "No loyalty." And while all this was unfolding online, 50 Cent kept playing his cards with precision. He didn't speak directly about Ross again, but he didn't have to. Every new power-related post, every quote about loyalty, every clip from his show about betrayal felt like a pointed message. Fans joked that 50 was narrating the feud through his own content. But for Lil Meech, it wasn't entertainment. It was a personal wound growing deeper by the day. Those close to him said he started questioning who to trust, who was genuinely in his corner, and whether his father's name would ever escape the grip of opportunists. Then, late one night, another message surfaced online. A blurry screenshot of a story post allegedly from Lil Meech read, "You took advantage of a man who believed in you. Now face what you started." It disappeared within minutes, but by then, screenshots had already been shared thousands of times. The caption under one repost summed it up perfectly. "War has begun." The next morning, hip-hop blogs went wild. Headlines spread across every platform, each claiming inside sources had confirmed what everyone already suspected, that Lil Meech had finally decided to confront Rick Ross face-to-face. Fans woke up to clips, none verified, of cars pulling up outside a Miami mansion that allegedly belonged to Ross. Someone in the background could be heard saying, "He's here, bro. He really pulled up." Within minutes, the video went viral. One outlet reported that it happened during the early hours. Another claimed it was staged. But the chaos had already taken on a life of its own. People didn't care if it was real. They just wanted to see what would happen next. In the clip, a voice resembling Lil Meech's could be heard shouting, "You played with my father's name for fame." The crowd of onlookers gasped. The other voice, calm and mocking, fired back, "Watch your tone, young blood. This is business, not emotions." Those who listened closely swore they heard the sound of something breaking. Maybe a bottle, maybe nerves. The video ended abruptly, and speculation filled the gap where facts should have been. Memes followed within minutes. One fan captioned a photo of Ross with "boss turned loss." Another wrote, "BMF stands for Betrayed Meech Family now." Ross's team denied the confrontation ever took place, calling the video a product of bored internet storytellers. But just hours later, an unfiltered clip of the same scene appeared from a different angle. This one was longer. You could see Meech's entourage holding him back as Ross stood on the steps of his mansion, expression unreadable. "You don't own legacy," Ross reportedly said. "You rent it with consistency." That single sentence ignited every corner of social media. Fans dissected it like scripture. Was he trying to sound wise or just dodging accountability? Either way, the damage was done. Across Atlanta, old BMF associates started weighing in. Some said they saw this coming. One man who had worked with the original crew decades ago told a local radio host, "Meech Sr. always said fame can't fix loyalty. This right here proves it." Callers phoned in with their own takes, some defending Ross, others blasting him. "You don't take a man fresh out of prison, promise him millions and then ghost him," one caller said. "That's betrayal disguised as business." Meanwhile, 50 Cent poured more fuel on the fire. During an event, he was asked about the situation and smirked before saying, "I told y'all years ago, some people want to be you so bad, they forget how to be themselves." The crowd erupted. Even though he never mentioned names, everyone knew who he meant. His post-event caption didn't help either. He wrote, "Never mix legacy with liability." The internet treated it like a knockout punch. Ross tried to reclaim control of the narrative by posting a new video later that night, sitting poolside, sipping champagne. "Don't believe everything you hear," he said, smiling. "Some people mad their movie money ran out." That one line sent fans into overdrive. Did that mean the promised $120 million deal was a lie? Or was he hinting that Lil Meech had wasted what little money there was? Comments divided instantly, half cheering Ross for clapping back, half calling him manipulative for mocking a man tied to his own promises. While Ross flaunted his confidence online, Lil Meech reportedly went silent again. No new posts, no lives, no sightings. According to one anonymous source, he was spending time with close family and a few of his father's old allies, trying to find clarity. The source added, "He feels betrayed, but he also feels embarrassed. He wanted this to be a comeback story, not a circus." Then, out of nowhere, a journalist released a voice note allegedly from a conversation between two producers who had attended Ross's early pitch meetings about the supposed film. In the clip, one said, "Man, he never had that funding locked. It was talk. He just needed the Meech name to make it look real for investors." The other replied, "And once he got enough attention, he moved on. That's his pattern." Although no one could confirm the authenticity, the story spread like wildfire. Fans began labeling Ross's move as the $120 million illusion. As days passed, the feud started affecting more than reputations. Several streaming platforms reportedly paused talks related to future BMF collaborations, citing ongoing public disputes. It was the kind of fallout no one expected, a chain reaction of broken trust that threatened to derail the entire brand. The worst part, one insider told a gossip podcast, is that this was supposed to be the moment Big Meech reclaimed control of his story. Now it's another chapter of chaos. The more people talked, the deeper the divide grew. Memes turned into mock interviews, and fake text screenshots claimed to show private messages between Ross and Lil Meech. Some even suggesting threats were exchanged. One particularly viral screenshot read, "You took my father's legacy, I'll take back the respect." Whether real or not, it had people convinced the feud was turning dangerous. Fans on forums wrote things like, "This ain't just business beef anymore," and "Ross better watch his back in Atlanta." Around this time, Wack 100 returned to the conversation. During a podcast appearance, he leaned back in his chair and said, "I told y'all he's been playing chess with borrowed pieces. Now the board flipped." His tone was smug, like a man who'd seen this story play out before. You can't keep using people's names and expect blessings. That's not how the streets work. The clip gained traction quickly, especially among fans who believed Ross had manipulated both Big and Lil Meech for fame. Just when things seemed to reach their boiling point, an unexpected figure entered the story. Michael Rainey Jr., the actor from Power, who had worked closely with 50. In an interview, he said, "I ain't picking sides, but I don't feel sorry for grown men who ignore warning signs. Business is business." Though neutral on the surface, fans saw it as a subtle jab at Lil Meech. "He's siding with 50, one comment read. "They're closing ranks." Others took it as a wake-up call. Maybe Meech trusted too fast. Ross didn't respond to that directly, but his next post was telling. A photo of his mansion gate with a caption that read, "Some kings just watch the pawns argue." It sounded poetic, but to fans it was pure provocation. The comments turned into a battlefield. One person wrote, "You stole a legacy, not a throne," while another defended him saying, "He made that name global again." Behind all the noise, something heavier brewed. Reports surfaced that Big Meech himself had sent a message from prison, urging calm and focus. One alleged excerpt read, "Don't let emotions cost you everything we built." If true, it was a clear attempt to stop the feud before it crossed a line. But others said it was too late. Pride had already taken control. By the end of that week, the feud wasn't just a story, it was a movement. Fans started tagging their posts with "Cheddar Justice Form," creating montages comparing Ross's wealth with clips of Lil Meech looking visibly frustrated. Influencers jumped in, dissecting every post, every live, every gesture. And while no one knew the full truth, everyone had already picked a side. Then, as if to twist the knife deeper, a new claim emerged: that the $120 million promise wasn't just fake, but designed as a deliberate trap to make Ross the face of BMF's cinematic future without actually giving the family any control. One producer went on record saying, "He wanted to own the image, not share it." That quote spread faster than any previous rumor, sealing the story in the public's imagination. Ross, for all his confidence, seemed to post less after that. A few smiling photos here and there, but nothing about the project. His silence spoke louder than words. And Lil Meech, once again, was left holding the weight of his father's legacy. Heavier now, not because of prison bars or lost time, but because of broken trust. Yet somewhere between anger and exhaustion, he made one quiet post, a simple black screen with the words, "They forgot who we are." No hashtags, no mentions, no names. It said everything. Interview 10/58/11/56. The days that followed felt like a storm that refused to end. News outlets, podcasts, and bloggers all raced to cover new fragments of the feud, each claiming to have the real story. Videos surfaced of alleged private meetings, screenshots of supposed text exchanges, and unseen footage of earlier encounters between Lil Meech and Ross. Most of it was unverified, but that didn't matter anymore. Perception had already become truth in the eyes of the public. Fans were divided. Some blaming Ross for exploiting the Meech legacy. Others saying Lil Meech was letting pride and pressure cloud his judgment. One night, a viral clip dropped that sent the internet spiraling. It showed a group of people inside a luxury restaurant. Voices raised, phones recording, the tension thick. A man, sounding like Ross, said, "I built brands my whole life. I don't owe nobody explanations." Another voice, firm but breaking, responded, "You owe respect." The clip ended before anything else could be heard. But those two words, "you owe," became the new rallying cry online. Comments exploded with interpretations. Some saw it as confrontation, others as closure. Nobody knew which, but everyone felt the weight of it. Behind the noise, people close to the family painted a more painful picture. They said Lil Meech had stopped attending public events, avoiding cameras and shutting off communication with most industry insiders. "He's tired," one friend revealed. "He wanted to prove something real, but now it's just turned into chaos." That same week, 50 Cent made another cryptic post, this time showing a chessboard mid-game, captioned, "Never play with emotion. That's how kings lose." Fans instantly tied it to the ongoing feud, praising 50 for his strategic calm while criticizing Ross for playing to the crowd. Ross, however, wasn't done. During a live interview, he laughed when the host brought up the controversy. "If they mad, let 'em be mad," he said. "Everybody wanna be a boss till the bills come." His smile didn't reach his eyes, though, and viewers noticed. The comments section filled with split reactions, some calling him heartless, others claiming he was just defending himself. "You can't scam a hustler," one fan commented, while another wrote, "That man scammed a legacy," and laughed about it. Meanwhile, whispers spread that Big Meech himself had heard about the escalating drama from behind bars. A few bloggers claimed he'd sent a message through a close contact saying, "My son got heart, but the streets don't reward emotion." It was a chilling reminder that beneath all the fame, this was still a family with roots deep in the streets. A family that understood betrayal better than most. Then, out of nowhere, a new twist surfaced. A well-known producer leaked what he claimed were early concept documents for the supposed $120 million film deal. They were vague, more like vision notes than contracts. But one detail stood out. The section for rights to likeness and narrative listed Ross's company as the sole controller. It was enough to send fans into another frenzy. "He really tried to own the story," one comment said. "That's not collaboration, that's theft." Others argued it was just normal business language. But by then, the story had already gone too far for logic to calm it. The longer the feud went on, the more it started feeling less like entertainment and more like tragedy. What had started as a celebration of legacy now looked like a public unraveling. Fans posted montages of Big Meech's early interviews, his words about loyalty and brotherhood, overlaid with modern footage of his son arguing with industry figures. "He built something from nothing," one caption read, "and they turned it into content." It was heartbreaking, and yet the clicks kept climbing. Around that time, one of Lil Meech's closest friends finally broke his silence during an Instagram Live. "This was never about money," he said. "It's about respect." Meech felt like he was being used to make another man look powerful. "That ain't business. That's betrayal." His words resonated deeply, cutting through the noise. Fans flooded the comments with support, some even starting the hashtag #RespectMeech. Within hours, it trended across platforms. Ross stayed quiet for a few days after that, a silence that felt strategic. But when he finally returned, it wasn't with an apology, it was with a performance. During a live concert right before performing one of his biggest hits, he paused the music and looked out over the crowd. "Loyalty is rare," he said into the mic. "Sometimes people forget who showed them how to shine." The crowd cheered, but social media didn't. Clips of the moment went viral again, framed as arrogance, and fans called it tone-deaf. "He's doubling down," one viewer said. "He doesn't even care how bad this looks." The feud had now crossed into music. Freestyles, diss snippets, and unreleased tracks began leaking online, each side allegedly firing subliminal shots. One rumored verse from Lil Meech mentioned fake bosses and empty promises, while another snippet supposedly tied to Ross made reference to sons who bite the hand that fed them. Fans debated every lyric, dissecting every bar, trying to figure out who said what. The internet had turned it into a gladiator arena, feeding off the tension while both men's reputations suffered. As the noise reached its peak, one surprising figure stepped into the spotlight. An old associate of Big Meech, known in the streets but long retired from the game. In a rare interview, he said, "Meech Sr. built an empire on trust. If this next generation don't learn from that, they gonna lose more than money. They'll lose meaning." His words echoed across social media, shared by fans, celebrities, and even former rivals. For the first time, the conversation shifted from blame to reflection. Shortly after, Lil Meech reappeared online with a single live stream. No anger this time, no yelling, just calm. "It's been a long couple weeks," he said quietly. "I'm not here to throw shots. I'm here to remind people what BMF stood for. Family, loyalty, unity. Somewhere along the line we lost that." He paused, then added, "But I'm done letting people write our story for clicks." Fans flooded the chat with heart emojis and words of support. Even people who had criticized him earlier admitted it felt genuine. The live ended after only a few minutes, but it shifted the tone of the entire conversation. Ross didn't respond directly, but his absence spoke volumes. The industry, too, began moving on. The $120 million project was never mentioned again. No new press releases, no updates. Insiders quietly confirmed what everyone already suspected. It had never been real, and though no one said it out loud, everyone knew this feud had changed things permanently. The bond that once linked their names was now burned, and no amount of money or music could fix it. In the end, fans were left with questions that never found clear answers. Did Ross really plan it all? Or was it just a business deal gone wrong? Was Lil Meech's anger justified? Or was he trapped in the pressure of living up to a name too heavy to carry? Nobody could say for sure. But one truth echoed through every comment section, every podcast, every headline: that loyalty without honesty is just another form of betrayal. As the dust settled, the echoes of their words lingered like smoke over a city still divided. The Meech legacy had survived prisons, investigations, and decades of silence. But in the new world of fame and followers, it faced its hardest trial yet. Not from enemies, but from those it trusted most. And though the war of words seemed to end, one thing was certain: the streets never forget who kept it real, and who only pretended to. And that's where the story stands. a legacy caught between loyalty and illusion, respect and betrayal. Fans everywhere are still debating what really happened behind the closed doors of that so-called $120 million deal. Some say it was all business gone wrong. Others swear it was personal from day one. But the truth? Maybe it's buried somewhere between ego and ambition. Between a son trying to honor his father's name and a mogul trying to control the narrative. One thing's for sure. This drama is far from over. The silence from both camps only adds more fuel to the fire. Will there ever be an apology? A reconciliation? Or is this the point of no return for two powerful names in hip-hop history? Only time will tell. Until then, fans are left to piece together the puzzle from leaks, lives, and half-spoken truths. Now it's your turn. What do you think really went down between Lil Meech and Rick Ross? Was this a simple misunderstanding or a calculated move that backfired? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see where you stand. If you want to stay updated on the next twist in this wild saga, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss when the next piece of the story drops. This one's not just entertainment. It's a lesson in how fast loyalty can turn into leverage in the spotlight. Stay tuned, because the streets are still talking.